And I'm live, I think. And here's Josh coming on.
Good day, brother.
Good day, good day.
Let me just get my volume up and get the camera on. How are you today?
I'm very fine. Thank you for asking.
Oh,
And
good.
yourself?
I am very well, thank you. And it's such a pleasure to be back.
And a pleasure as always to have you back. I can speak for everyone when I say we always miss you.
There we go.
There
Hello.
you are. Hello.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Same to you.
All right, there we go.
And welcome to the listener that's here already and to the people who will listen back to it at a later point in time. I'm Jostein, hosting the channel What If, and so lucky and blessed and grateful to have Josh join us as often as he does, actually, because you are a busy man, I know.
It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so curious because we haven't spoken for a while, and you told us about this new being that's joined the family. Is that something you want to go into, or is
I
it?
I just think it's nice now and again if we can push the limits to what we usually do to help people and others. And yeah, just helping someone who was a very young man, not having the ability to help himself because of the current situation of the world, homeless, living in a forest just for safety. And yeah, we first brought him some food and we handed him his food and he just opened the bananas. So started eating them. Very hungry man, very hungry man. So we decided to have a conversation with him.
Can I just ask, did you stumble upon him, or how
He
did
was
you?
out. He was outside a local supermarket, just sat down with a board, just saying, "I'm homeless and hungry. Is there anyone that can help?" And yeah, and then through the process of just having this interaction with him, you sense his real genuine being, and then we helped him find a job on a farm so he can start work. And then we managed to get him into like a solo flat and help him with his first month's rent, so he has no bills, and filled up his cupboards and everything for him. So he's able to start fresh, which is lovely, and to see somebody so happy and grateful that has nothing and not a soul to help him is only our duty.
Exactly, and it's so amazing. I just gonna because we got a message. Helen X said, "Is it just me or is the volume a bit low?" So for anyone else who can maybe give us some feedback on the audio, are we
Okay.
on the same level? And is it also if it's on the same level, you can probably turn up your own volume. If not, we can try to.
Good. So there we go. I will talk a slight bit louder, and then maybe all my levels are up, and the microphone is this
Yeah,
beautiful one here.
same as mine.
Yes, funny.
I said Austin also said sound is good, so sound all good here, both balanced. Okay, then let's go.
Good, good, good. So, is there anything new in the world? Are we
Which world are you talking about? My world or the external world?
anything going on in the world, in the media, in any
Well,
situation, in the Matrix?
personally, I have taken a step back and kind of logged off the world, more or less, because I've come to the realization that uh, I don't know anything. And I can't, by the information provided, be it from the one side or the other. I don't know which side who is right, and if any has any right in what they're
Very,
putting out
very
there.
good.
So I just have to step back and give it no focus, actually.
Yeah, the world full of information and intelligence is a place where there is no true understanding, there's no true knowing, and there's no gnosis behind it. There's no wisdom there. There's nothing for you. There is just more questions that arise.
Yeah.
So when one searches into the world has these dualistic scenarios of anything that is material. So you will find yourself going further and further down a rabbit hole until one decides to apply and action their very own questions and then seek. And in that seeking of answering your own questions, you become wise, and then the journey continues. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I think probably I am at that point in time or now where, because I've spent years in being occupied and interested in the goings on in the world, right? And not anymore that, not digging into everything, like just scratching the surface and seeing that, okay, it's a different story than the mainstream story. uh, so why is there a different story here, and those kind of things. So and I've been quite, you know uh, what's the English word, I've been quite sure in that I have understood, right? So I took a position and I defended my point of view and done that for years. But I come to the place now, as I just said, I don't know anything. I
Truth defends itself.
mm,
It needs no being, no man, no woman, nothing to defend it. It is what it is, and it will prevail. Everyone innately knows the truth.
mm,
But as a person or a persona, we try to guard that which we believe to be true. And these are all concepts. And each concept that we hold within our person actually keeps us tied down to samsara, into the belief of the body mind and the recycling of one who believes that we can actually die, you know. And that's where the phrase comes from. To learn to die is to be liberated from death, and died is not death. Die is di, which is balance between the form and consciousness. So, in understanding the temples or the two temples and bringing balance to them allows the Kundalini energy within your system to start to elevate and rise, thus having a grander vibration and a greater experience here, until it leads to the ultimate seer that you are the creator, that space within
mm,
inside each and every one of us. And that position there is only truly found through your contemplation and basically this surrender of every single thought that arises. And
mm.
you go through the processes of eliminating them in your consciousness or your psyche. And that's the key.
I come to the also to a place, or also I know that what you're just now saying is 100% truth. Like, we create our own reality, and our minds become our thoughts become our reality. And sadly, this doesn't go just the way when you try to manifest something positive. It's more or less an unconscious thing driving you against the negative.
Mm.
And I have close relations, that's very close relations, let's say, that's sometimes get caught up in things and gets, drawn down and gets sad and depressed, and I try to say that I'm sorry to say it, but this is you who are creating this state of mind, like depressed or sad or whatever it is. It's yourself.
Mhm.
Or am I mistaken? Also with
You're
negative
absolutely
thoughts.
right. I mean, the depression, the anxiety, the fear, these illusions, they're all just thought forms within inside yourself. They're all perceptions on certain concepts. Someone might be absolutely disgusted by certain situations, and other of us may see it as a beautiful thing.
Mm,
But every situation that arises that causes some sort of turmoil within ourselves is actually an opportunity to expand our own awareness, to overcome it. It's a gift that this situation has arisen, because only enduring and overcoming these aspects of experience do you actually elevate. and the elevation and scale of consciousness is vast. You have so much opportunity here to become great with the great work.
I can let me do an example, the latest example of a situation, and with this example, I will blow the cover of the mysterious person, but it's it's okay. Our daughter, she's not enjoying school, which is perfectly makes perfect sense if you ask
Yes.
me. Um, and she says to us that it's because she don't like to sit still and write, and she yeah. Uh, and then we talked to the teacher about it, and she talked to her, and she said that to her, she said she missed her friends because we have moved, right?
Yeah.
And she was connected to her friends, and I understand perfectly well that she misses them, but there are lots of new opportunities here, so it's just a matter of time. But in this situation, my wife gets drawn. She feels so bad because she feels sad that she's lost her friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I I too have, like, compassion for her for having to go leave from her friends, but it's not something that I allow myself to get affected by. In getting sad or drawn into a negative state of mind. So, uh, and in this situation, I try to explain what you just said. That, like, try to catch yourself in going into the sad thoughts, and then try to redirect yourself to something positive,
Mm.
uh, if you can find something, and I think you can if you.
I mean, opportunities for new friends. You still have these old friends that they haven't left you. But again, everything is perfect. So the situation that she has found herself with, because of her instability, even at this age, is an opportunity to become stable and actually, at such a young age, to realize that, oh, I've actually made some really, really nice friends here, and I'm enjoying myself more, and I just continue with the flow of life. So everything that's happening to each and every one of us is absolutely necessary, and everything is an opportunity to expand, even from those young ages.
Mm.
So life is just a beautiful game of
So how
expansion.
how 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 early did you start to talk to little X about those kind of things, like your
Well, I
thoughts?
think explanation of ego probably started at about ages of 2.
Mm.
So anytime that something arose within inside himself, we would say this is an aspect of your ego, and what you need to do is just divert the attention away and try to overcome it because it's just trying to hold you back, cause conflict and suffering for you. So yeah, he's very aware. I mean, age 5 now, 100% knows every time the ego comes out.
Mm.
But where we have showed him the world and the earth at the same time, and he's been with the earth for majority of the time. But every time we went into the world, we always explained each and every aspect of things. From the food systems, and say if we went into a supermarket with him, and we were just looking at something in a packet, even from the age of 3. And we wouldn't be looking at to consume. We would just be like sometimes interested to see like baby formula, things
Baby
like this,
formula.
just to see what ingredients they've added or
Mm.
trying to keep up to date with the chemicals. And he just put that back. That is just Babylon. Let's move on. And he used to go through the cupboards of his nan and granddad's on Michel's side. And just when he was about 2, he's like, "That's Babylon, Babylon, Granddad. Why are you at Babylon?" And yeah, so they didn't really understand it. Sometimes they got a little bit offended, but again, that is for them to overcome because each issue that everyone has is only themselves having conflict with their own thoughts about perception that they have regarding their identity as a person.
Mm.
We are not persons. We are so much more than this, but this person is an element of the psyche that has been created for separation from yourself. And that's why it's so important to contemplate on the chicken and egg. That's why it's been brought into awareness, and it's the conundrum of the scientific studies that they can never discover whichever came first. In the contemplation through your own workings, you should come to the logical explanation that if there is no chicken or no egg first, then this must be some aspect of a dream within inside myself. And then if you can really sit and contemplate, you could say, go into a quiet space and really take a deep look. Everything that you're seeing is unfolding from yourself, and all the reality that you see with every being in it is actually from here, from you. You are the one, and you are the creator of all of this. But the mind itself holds the limit, not the universal mind, but the aspect that the mind held inside the person, which is like a Rubik's cube, but inside the great mind. And you identify with this Rubik's cube that has so many limitations from your imitations, from the intelligence and intellect, that you never get to see the whole picture, which is you have created everything within inside yourself. You have no limit, and you can absolutely alter and shape your reality at your own will, with your own actions and your own surrender. You hold the limit inside your person. This is why it's so important that we transcend this person and the ego during this stage of our evolution, because once we've done this, the next stage of evolution is here for you. And the next stage of evolution is not limited, just pure light, expansive freedom, instantaneous manifestations, and an absolute reality that you wish to exist with. There is no death here. And that reasoning that you'll find, you'll see that there's only a belief that you can die because only the person and the body can die, but yet the one which sees all of the actions, the body, the consciousness, and everything that arises inside of it is you, is the self, and it never changes. And as soon as the belief that the person is dying, the self is there, and the recognition is found straight away.
I found something very interesting. I don't know if I mentioned it, but a way back I was on this cabin with these Christian people, and we were discussing a little bit, and or I was asking more or less because I wanted to understand things and everything. But they are, it's kind of they are of the belief that when they die, they're either off to eternity with God or doomed. Right? so or they go to hell.
Yeah.
And I was also told that I had to be crazy if I wasn't scared of the world that's out there. Ja. Ja. Men finn ut av det da, vær så snill. Sorry.
No problem.
My wife is in the meeting at work, so...
Thank you for being here with us, and take all the time that you need.
Yeah. Where was I? Yeah. So I had to be crazy not to be scared of, the world, but I'm quite content with where I am now. Like, I'm not scared. I'm not I'm just
Free.
perfect. Yeah, free, happy, not frightened.
Yeah.
Of everything that's going on.
Well, only
So I think
exists like
just-
the matrix, doesn't it? Then it relays into the mind of the observer of that. So your consciousness is being limited to a concept held within something external to you. then all these beliefs come in and all these fears manifest because you can't make sense of them because it's so separate from you and artificial.
Mm.
Study the world. I mean, there was so much. I mean, there's a lot of censorship now, but yeah, even these wars that were published or shown on the news channels, and you have these two guys pretending that there's a bomb going on and they're running off, and it's never changed. It's never changed, and you know, we don't need to get involved with any of this. We just sit
Mm.
back and watch the show because you are safe, and don't believe anything else. You know, everything that is perfect for you is here and now, and to stay here and now is to be free. And this is why it's so important to speak on how you've evolved yourself, because most people evolve themselves intelligently or intellectually, and like as a young man growing up, I had to delve deep into the nature of everything. One of the main things that kept me was law. Maybe 6 years, 5 hours a day, trying to understand the law itself, because there was one small belief that something or some entity had power over me. And I needed to liberate myself from the belief that others have power over me. So I hit the books and I applied certain things and scenarios with these officials and come to the realization that the truth is, depending on your position within inside the game or within inside yourself, it depends on how you are interacted with.
Mm.
So knowing the self is one of the most important things, and this is why the Bible itself is also a book of the law and a book of your law. And this is why you have the sayings like, have faith and you shall be saved, or surrender all to Christ and you shall have everlasting life. This is no joke. But I'm saying that you need to surrender every single thought that appears within inside your consciousness or psyche, or work your way through these things, such as anger, impatience. People who are impatient, for example, going to work in a 9 to 5 and they're stuck in this paradigm, their actual body mind is consistently telling them that this situation needs to be different. This shouldn't be here. This isn't right. And I need to be somewhere else now. The conflict that causes arises all these cortisol and adrenaline responses within inside the body, causes all this stress, destroys body, destroys tissue, and gives you an issue. And this issue is constant negative emotional content, which blocks your energy centers from becoming free. And all we need to do is come to the realization that, can we change this? Can we change this very situation? The traffic that's in front of me? No. So if I come into acceptance that I cannot change it, and I see that I'm trying to change the situation, I don't need to, so I let that go. And everything that is happening is absolutely perfect, and you can sweeten this up. This traffic jam could be saving you from an incident down the road at the initial stages, and then even then that can be transcended. There's no need for thinking this, because everything is always just what it is.
I say that to people sometimes, and they are probably not ready to take that in just yet. So, but as you know, I've been asked sometimes to go to some demonstration and hold a little speech and say something, because of my previous attention to what's going on and being outwardly spoken about it. But actually now I talked to a guy, a friend of mine, Fenris. I think we talked to him one time. Remember, in a joint call, and he with Ole, and he got a flat tire and had to leave.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have decided that we also, so this demonstration, people, they can go their own way, like do what they do, because it's probably a good thing to show. It should be many more actually.
Mm-hmm.
But we've decided to maybe just go and speak to people, like in my case, just about my journey.
Yes. Nobody knows your journey better than yourself.
Exactly, and it's something that's I have actually done, and I can with certainty say that how that was, at least for me, and I believe that it will be that for other people too if they do it, if
Yes.
they do the
Be
work.
original. To know the self.
It's the only thing I can speak with about with some kind of knowing, at least.
Yeah. And when you
Or
speak in that, you have your truth, you hold your power, and people resonate, and those that will resonate and be drawn to that power of your truth. That's
exactly.
why it's so important to only, go through that which you've experienced, and then others will be able to reflect themselves off it. Truth just resonates, so much. I mean, some people have questions. You hear of the globe Earth and the flat Earth, and then these questions. It's interesting for the intelligence to go and find these things out, or to have a look into these things. Essentially, that just reveals the nature of the world and all of its lies, how everything has been reversed and flip flopped. Logically, sensically, here and now, observing, you can see very easily how far the sun is away from you. The conspicuous rays that you see on a cloudy day, and
Yeah,
trigonometry will show you how far the sun is away. You can
yeah,
work out the distance, and then it's quite simple. 93 million miles away, you would just have completely straight rays, and there
exactly,
would be a terminator line every evening
exactly.
that would just take over the Earth. And it would be a very difficult system. But not only is it spinning in all different directions, I mean, it works out 660,000 miles an hour one way, and yeah, if a hot air balloon would just really just prove something. You just hover it above ground and land it. An hour later, if you're in the same place, there's no movement. There's no movement. And yeah, we tend to go against our senses with the programming as well, which is one thing to acquire and to gain your senses back. And that's why I find food is such an incredible thing, because it does help clear the senses to go back to a natural source of food.
There's definitely something there, no doubt about it. I was going to say something, but I forgot. So let's look at the question, maybe. We take a question.
And then it'll come straight back to you.
Yeah. Seeds to Glory has a question. Do we actually move physically on this plane, or do we bring life to us? We can see 360 degrees around. We can't be where we see unless we walk upon the earth like a treadmill.
Well, that's a good, really, really good question, but it depends on how deep one's seeing. Because energetically, within a toroidal field, the inertial plane, everything is just energy. So, within inside your, let's say, this goes deep.
Oh,
So you are this self, the Godhead. But inside this self, you have created an artificial reality of perception, so it can split the psyche to experience a personal mind to believe it's inside the world or the earth. Okay. Now, toroidal fields are the only way how consciousness has expanded that would create a processional reciprocating hyperboloid, which is perpetual motion that would continue to give energy life. So when the energy has life and light, there's an inertia plane which is inert and gives energy. Now that energy within inside of that, the person is seeing. So the person would not really be moving, energy would just be continually happening, but as an experiential thing, physically, we are actually moving our bodies to go towards this energy where nothing's actually happened, and it's all happened within inside ourselves. So it's just different dimensions of seeing within inside yourself. We get fixated on, let's say, the law of physics and nature, the Fibonacci sequence. and we see this beautiful geometry, the flower of life, and all things sacred. But those things are, that have actually been created inside of ourselves for the person, for the evolution. Evolution has happened within inside ourselves in a dream state. So your inception, and then the first thing that the dreamer could dream would have been this single cell. And as the geometry started to make sense, the geometry started to work, this vortex mathematics came into a code, and then from that code, life could be built. And as soon as the thought from the dreamer came into manifestation, not limited by the person, because the person hadn't been manifest yet, because the experience of duality and separation from itself wasn't even necessary, then this is how it works into. So I hope that's answered the question there, and please feel free to send another one if it wasn't
He
direct.
he already has another one, but if he, yeah, let's just. Hopefully, he got his answer. But he follows up with, also, would you agree that there is as many sun? Also, would you agree that there is as many sun and stars in the sky as there are beings? Meaning that we all see them in our own way. This would make sense with our birth chart.
Sun's mistranslated sometimes. The concepts, ideas, and words. A sun is like S on, and it's like the sine wave on. But the true sun, or the solar, basically projects the light within the reality. So one sees the light, so you are a sun yourself. And then you look at the word star, you put a T on, is a physical. To start, you start as a star, T in physical. So everyone would have started as a star because the consciousness itself had the original idea of energy. And then from that energy was a star. So this is the first point of creation, let's say, within inside the earth. Because the idea had to manifest. And then from this star had to be life, animals, beings, then the man, the avatar, the separation from its own self. Because the self just constantly evolves and creates shapes, forms. It's a beautiful thing. And this is continually evolving at all times. So you think the idea of the human is a very grand, intelligent thing. You wait till the next evolution. You wait till you transcend the ego, the animal part of ourselves, the automatic man. This automatic man that functions on the intelligence of what it has seen is so limited. Transcend this, expand beyond this, and really know evolution yourself. It's beautiful.
I'll just ask say another question. I just have to take, give a few moments of attention to the kids.
Please do.
I don't know if it's a question. Rise and Shine says, my husband does not want to change eating habits. He said that it needs to be coming public so he knows that it's true.
Yeah.
But I want to change because I know what's true and right.
Yes. Eating is down to each individual, and the law of the will is that we cannot change anyone else. The best thing that we can do is to shine a light by the actions that we take, and then others will follow suit. One thing with the diet is you just slowly go back to a natural diet, a whole food, plant-based diet, from a modern day Western diet, the SAD diet, you could say, the standard American diet. You start to feel great anyway. The body starts to heal itself. Most ailments do leave and alleviate there. But there is something that we should note. Me and Misha have just finished our own 6-year study on vitamin B12 inside the gut bacterium, and we're going to be sharing this. Hello, beautiful. Hi. And basically, there's a biosystem and a recycling of your B12 that gets stored within the liver. And you have about 5 to 20 years storage without having anything put in. But our fruits, where the B12 naturally comes from, let's say living waters, streams, soil, etc., we're not getting any of this. So we're in a system that has taken one of the most important nutrients away from you. And for beings like ourselves, we want to wash the food because we want to get the pesticides off of it. We want to take everything that's come through the transportation. We're having the unripe fruits, the unripe food. So there's only one way to really return back to Earth and to create this pure balanced body. It's going back, is getting the aquifers, the streams, creating a beautiful system, planting these heirloom trees, eating from the earth, from the soil. Otherwise, you're depleted. So there is actually a depletion of B12 that happens over time. It is recycled in the gut. Some people can have it for 5 years. Some people can have it for 20. But if those stores are gone, you can experience real terrible things, like neuropathy. You can experience where your whole body almost shuts down and you become disabled. There's many people out there that have, let's say, done everything they can do. They've done all the water fasting, they've done all this fasting, but yet their body's not working or functioning. And like one shot of B12, they're walking, they're back to normal. And it was just a very low level of B12. So we need the earth, we need the bacteria, we need the living organisms, we need everything in a symbiotic relationship for our optimum health. Everything was perfect. Everything can be perfect. Nature will always do what it does and work for you. So having this relationship and understanding with the earth is a necessary thing for our evolution within our physical bodies at this present time. So may everyone transcend the ego and be free from any type of suffering. And may everyone find their way back to earth, restoring balance with everything. Understanding how, partner trees and these beautiful ways that, certain plants put nitrogen into the soil, understanding how to regenerate soil. The moment we're building this course, plan T, which is plan your physical, and from the beginning to the end, how to plant a seed, how to nourish it during a season, and how to basically regenerate this soil for true life. But that's the wish for everyone. If you're off, brother, you're on mute. Just so you know.
Thank you. I was actually wanted to talk a little bit about this, planting and growing and these things, because it's the time of year. So
Yeah.
for each time we are talking, it's less and less time to get the seeds in the ground. But there are some questions here, so I don't know what we should address. The course is ongoing and in our website, right?
Yeah, the course is just being built right now. We said it was in April. Helping that boy was kind of like time really did take up a fair bit of time, actually having to deal with the matrix. It was a hard thing to do, but we managed to do that. Now, yeah, we are on it, so it shouldn't be more really than a few days till we have it uploaded and ready. So yeah, please, if you have any questions about it, we can.
Yeah, no, just we have already sown some seeds, like some tomatoes and cucumbers and some peppers and things, and it's actually time to sow some other things, because they have their preferred time of year, or recommended time of year of growing or putting into the ground or in the pot. So and there's a lot of things going on, like like I said last time, we want to have a greenhouse, and also these small patches of in the garden of whatever we find out to be useful. And we, what would you, also, Norwegian climate more or less. We're in south of Norway. It's probably not that much different from
Cold,
yours.
and then a half decent summer where it ranges between like 22 and 32, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it,
think you
it's
have
it's
more clear skies than us here in the
I
UK.
think maybe yes. And
Yeah.
we have had summers that's been like amazing, and but also horrible. It's not very stable.
Yeah.
Let's say. So yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't really have to worry too much about getting things in late. Trying to plant things early, they'll just stay dormant, and then all of a sudden they just like activate, come to life. So,
We still have 8 below in the nighttime, so it's not the time yet.
no, definitely not. You don't want to get that frost on them. But if you've got indoors, obviously you can start to bring seedlings to life, but
Yeah.
just make sure you always plant them out after the last frost. And that's what the farmers always used to say: plant after a full moon. There was such mystified or mysticism behind it, but when the moon gives off a cold light, it's just obvious that the moon gives frost. So when the moon's full, make sure you don't have any young seedlings outside. As for your planting soil, me and Michelle, when we were in the camper van doing our thing, we used to go to the woods and we used to take soil, like the topsoil, and use that for our seedlings. Amazing, absolutely amazing soil. Obviously, you can only really carry a certain amount from the woods, or just like certain parks, nature parks and things like this. Just try not to get the soil from like pine because it's quite acidic. Just have it from some. You'll find a really soft bed of soil. It'll feel right. It smells right. It smells of earth.
We have where we live now. We are on the countryside side, so we are surrounded by fields actually. Some of them very close to where we live, and that's my brother-in-law's fields. But
Okay.
they're not used. Nobody here grows anything. So I'm now, I'm pushing everybody, like, to say, like, maybe have a food shortage soon. We should contemplate on maybe putting something in the ground, like some potatoes, some corn, so uh,
Anything that you can grow, is going to be so much better than anything that you can buy.
yeah. So I'm fighting that fight. But anyway, in just beside our house, there's a field, and it's grass, right? So it hasn't been used to, and that's a good thing probably, or that's a question coming, like, all these fields around here is just grass. Some of them rent them out in the summer for animals grazing, and some are just left unattended, more or less. So what would you say that soil is like after just having grass on it for a long time? Is it a good soil, or is it some soil that needs work
Oh,
before?
it probably needs some work, but it doesn't mean that you can't fix it for that year. But when you're planting, really, you can do a lot on, say, just a small patch. Really, work the soil, and maybe for the first year, you could try to just create a patch from some organic soil that you've created, and mix it in with the soil, and then the rest of the field you could try to regenerate. And then if you did that, then next year you have a full field that's going to be perfect for growing again.
So regenerate, you mean like plowing up and turning around everything, and
I
just
mean, yeah, and it depends on how big the field is. But if you were to do that, you're going to mess with the life within the soil at the moment. But I would say that it depends on the soil. Really, you have to take a look at it. If it's clay, if it needs some airing with it. But there's so much important things that you can do for such a simple soil, to bring it back to beautiful life. with your little seedlings that you have in your garden, as long as they've got enough space to create a nice root system and the soil's not too clayey, I could say like a 50-50 mix with some organic compost, and you
Mm,
get some worm castings, some wood ash. Make sure you don't waste your urine as well. That the
mm,
urine is such a good feed for your plants, and also it keeps away certain animals and certain pests. It's a lost, forgotten art. I think even in Africa they say that it kills the roots of the trees. That's what they teach the children at school, but it doesn't. It's an absolute, like blood meal that they would sell to you. This is just a byproduct of your blood, and it's just full of amino acids and minerals, and the soil absolutely love it.
mm,
Sea salt is another thing. They sell you C90. If you look at the goddess Happy, every year the Nile used to flood with salt water, and they used to worship it because of the fruitful crops that used to come. But these minerals go very, beautiful with the soil, and a sea feed from the sea is actually one of the best feeds you can do. So just slowly put these things into the soil. You can use your bicarb just for some antifungal properties within the soil, but just keep that very limited. We'll share the certain portions, and then some magnesium is great for the soil as well.
mm. So that what you now described would be, doable for a small patch.
Yeah, you just work that soil in. And then just make sure that you're probably going to need to give yourself some good feed. So, all your vegetables, not all your vegetables, but you can chop up some vegetables and create a compost feed where you just have a dustbin, throw some things in that you are, using as normal waste, and then just fill it with some water, allow it to sit, and then use that as a feed during your process. And you could just put some of your urine in there as well,
Mm,
allow it to become very, very potent. Just make small adjustments with some sea salt. It will be very simple. It's not as hard as you think, but I think the regeneration of soil is absolutely necessary. And then having these brother and sister plants work together, because nitrogen
that's another
fixes are
thing.
so
Yeah.
important.
So basically, just close off the bathroom and tell everybody to go out and use the fields.
Yeah.
And
Trees
regarding,
are the best, aren't they? Trees are the best. So if you dug a big hole, then you manage to put your food waste in there, cover it with
yeah.
some soil, then some wood ash, cover it with some soil, some worm castings, and then you cover it, please.
What would you say is the a good distance between trees? Because I'm gonna buy some fruit trees and I'm gonna plant them. Okay, let me just take another thing first, while I remember. Like I said, the field downstairs, his or on the side of the house here, has mm, a small stream going next to it.
Nice.
So is that good? Also, that will bring, of course, water, but can it be too much? You mentioned like if it's clayey. I haven't checked the.
When you're planting trees, that's the very beauty of trees, see, because you'll dig a huge hole for the tree itself, and then the soil that you're using there will be made by you, and you can just have say like a 2 meter by 2 meter by 0.75 of a meter deep, and this can just be created from you. So you
So
can.
to plant a tree, I need a whole 2 by 2 by 0.75.
I
Also,
would say that, yeah, and I would
but
say if you were
for a,
lucky. Go on, please.
sorry, just like for a young tree, like a small tree, you just use that
Yeah.
big hole just to have a very nutrient surrounding around it.
Because it will reach out, and then you want it to stretch out for its nutrients. So if it has a wonderful root base or a place to expand the roots, then you're going to have a real quality root system. And then not only that, the soil on the outer edge will begin to have a relationship with the soil, and
Mm.
then it will help spread what this beautiful 2 by 2 by 0.75
So
um, has.
okay, so but then you fill this up with compost, or organic leftovers, food leftovers, and
I mean, for next year, so if you were to use that field this year, I would say you could start digging these holes and start putting all your. I mean, you must get a lot of food waste, a lot. So you just build this soil up. So you start to create a composting system within the soil rather than have a big compost system outside that may be producing flies. Every time that you have in your compost, you take it to one of these holes that you've created, and then you pour it in the ground and cover it with dirt, which totally blocks any flies coming in.
Mm.
Then you can start to add other things to the soil during that process, and it makes it so good.
So if one should have several trees, uh, how long would you place the trees apart? Like I've heard that apple trees, for example, they don't grow alone. They need another apple tree to some.
Pollinate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, depending on how you're going to take it, for me, watching and observing trees, I would always train my trees.
Mm.
Trees can grow very wild and big, and then branches start to snap off. You can't get
Mm.
access to
Mm.
these fruits, basically. But if you learn how to tie things down, it's like stress training. So as the tree's growing, the new shoots are very supple. So you can bend them and tie them down to the earth. And
Mm.
as you do, you'll have, instead of a tree going upward, it will come down,
Mm.
and then this, and you keep it tidy. And then this way you'll get just pure fruits that you can take care of, look after. And now you can get these bags that you just tie over the fruit. So you can allow these bags to basically have a ripening stage on the tree without any animals or bugs going into them. You can leave a couple for nature, but you won't need to use absolutely anything. And then you can make sure that every fruit that you have is ripened on the tree without, any flies, maggots, worms, birds.
Yeah, because that's an issue,
It
right?
is a big issue, especially when you want your ripe fruit. I remember when we had our first cherry tree, and it was a 6-year-old tree, but it was planted that year, and usually they give false fruits the first year. And
Mm.
there was this one cherry that we were waiting for ripening, and then one day a bird just
Mm.
took it, and we were we were going to share it, the three of us.
But what about like a small net over the whole tree? Like mostly used on cherry trees, I believe.
You
I've
can
seen.
you can do that. Um, For me, though, you see that if you look at the Asian farming at the moment, especially with the organic farming out there, these wonderful bags just tie over. When you see cherries, they grow down a whole arm of a branch. So you'll be able to find something you just cover the whole branch with, and then you can get access to the cherries. Um, but I would say the bags are going to be better than the net, much better, because you'll still find micro bugs going in and then eating through. And obviously, depending on your plants, caterpillars as well. Caterpillars, if you grow in your own medicine, things like that, they're a very big issue. They have the tiny little butterflies fly on and plant their eggs inside your food, and then they eat their way out. Hard to keep on top of.
Yeah.
But yes, if we will have this information on the website, and there will be obviously a lot more. So I'm just
Mm.
trying to keep it basic
So
here. But
let's
for you,
just.
brother, you won't need to do your composting, for example, this year. If you're just planting some trees this year, I would buy some organic compost. I would buy some worm castings. I would get some wood ash.
I'm
And
I'm not sure exactly what you mean with wood worm casting. Also.
it's a really worm humus. It's like a really rich soil that has gone through the worm,
Oh yeah.
very black,
Okay.
and then it helps build a wonderful microbiome life. And then there's something called a mycorrhiza, which is a fungus, and then this works inside the soil because if you've studied the soil and the earth, there's wonderful organism of fungi that is basically connected throughout all the soil. And this is a working soil, so it just helps that soil become working quicker,
Mm.
nutrient dense.
But these things will be in the
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we will just go there to find out. Uh, Now I'm gonna do what I said earlier. Take a question and go to look after the kids for a second. Let me see. there's some quotes here. Okay, actually, I have to sit for this question as well because uh, Ja, the Ja comes with a quote. The body, physical, soul, spirit, and mind, mental, needs to be in communication and connected as one. Then the conflict within yourself ends. Regan Uchiha. Uchiha. It's a quote from Regan Uchiha. And then Austin says, yeah, these are the three treasures in Taoism. And this is where it's, I've been thinking about asking you because I love this Tao Te Ching, the book, and I have it, if I do something where I feel like having some music on my ears, I often have that with Wayne Dyer, and there's some chill step rhythms he speaks on top of. But Taoism, uh, would you say they are more or less on the money, or are they confused some way? Because it resonates, huh?
Corporate Christianity, or on the money like the corporate Christianity.
No, no, like. Okay, which philosophy or which religion would you say is the most correct one? Is it any of the known?
Depends how one interprets them.
Okay, yeah.
All religions themselves have a beautiful way into the truth, but also they have a way to keep you from the truth. And this is why when you say a guru is connected to the guru. Guru means darkness dispeller, or the dispeller of darkness. So it's bringing light to your situations. There's only one guru, which is the self, which is where the truth lays. So if one has found the self, then you can put your faith into a guru, which will lead you to the point of all religions in the fastest route. You see, we're looking for something very mystical here, but all we're trying to do is actually liberate ourselves from any emotional content that's causing a blockage inside our system as illusions. These are demons, like the demonstration, the demon. You see, is to remove the one. And you see all these people here with their beliefs getting involved with a situation where they're trying to change something. This is nothing going to serve anyone other than to create conflict. It's all ego-based. And happiness is only here. So, the key to Taoism is to find happiness, to find
Yeah.
love, to find truth and peace. And this is found within inside yourself by surrendering any type of thought that arises or any conflict that arises and contemplating on it and really taking a look. And when you understand it with your own logic, you can see how this is causing conflict and you can overcome this step by step. Very simple process.
The reason I ask is because I feel for me that's probably what resonates the most, and
Yeah.
it's actually I stumbled upon Taoism after I have had done the changes in my life.
Yeah.
So I basically, by watching a documentary, found out that I'm probably a Taoist
Yeah.
because but so that was interesting, and it does resonate. Then I looked into the Tao Te Ching and these things, and yeah, it's
Have you looked at other things, other religions, since you have expanded yourself to this state?
not as much, I would say.
Yeah, because you'll find this beauty in all things. You see that there's just a proverb here, and you see the book of Revelations, and the revelations are that revelation which is revealed within inside yourself. Moment after moment after moment, the revelation is here. See, revelation is our Eve. You can see the even. So it's all about bringing balance to ourselves at an ionic level energetically. So these revelations are found here. And as you continue to expand, this is continued and renewed gnosis and synchronization, that just is within yourself. So all religions are beautiful. I promise you, every single one has such beauty within inside of it. Like when we talk about Cain and Abel, and you see the beauty of Cain being the left and Abel being the right. Cain is this worldly egoic entity, and Abel being this spirit of the self, or the righteous right side, the consciousness and this awareness.
So Cain is ego, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah. And if the ego kills Abel, you're unable to be able. And this is why you need to be enable to be enabled. Because Abel here is this right side. And the right side is right, of course, because it's right. And the righteous is the right choice. So making right choices is of the righteous. And only one who takes the righteous path will meet God. And God is here and now. You have peace here. Anxiety and depression and all these things here, they're dreamt of. They're just an absolute aspect of your imagination. You don't need to be anxious or depressed. You need to see that these things here are just causing your own separation. If you wish for things to change, give it your attention for more than 5 minutes. Because your attention is the most powerful manifester that you have. You are attention. So give your intention and attention to something worthwhile and fix it on it with laser focus and watch your whole world change. You know, this is the key. It's so very simple that somebody will not take this information unless they are ready. They want information to make the intelligence seem very powerful. Yeah. But physically here, it's a difficult journey for most people, and I do understand that.
Yeah, and I do understand that myself, and it's so obvious with, you know, me being on this journey and having, you know, my better half or equal half not being on the journey to this extent. So it's sometimes I have learned not to let it, you know, affect me as any other thing now. But of course, there is sometimes, you know, if your wife rolls your eyes at you, that can be quite, you know, provocative. When you think you have, like, oh, you know, the solution to everything. But
You know that this is just an absolute perfect journey for yourself. That's the only thing
yeah, yeah, yeah.
left to affect you. And the sooner that that's let go of and surrendered and truly accepted is the moment she turns around and asks you for help. It's you trying to offer your help to an ego when the ego only wants to find the solutions themselves. If you've got the answers, the ego will absolutely turn their back on the answers, and they don't need to search because you brought the truth. It's logically presented. They know it, but they have to find a way. So your partner is going to have to surrender the ego-ish to be able to fall in line with this rather than take a journey of truth. You and men mostly find their way through intelligence, and we see the logic and reasoning in things, so we give it a try. It's the opposite with most women. And that's why it's such a beautiful relationship. Even though women are also men, they are not of the feminine or the divine feminine. We are all in search of this. We fall in line. And this is why we were speaking about your beautiful daughter earlier. For them to be able to surrender all to God, they should be able to surrender all to their mom and dad first. You created them, per se. So if they can surrender themselves to you, listen to their mom and dad at all costs, because what mom and dad say is right for now, then they're going to have a greater chance of surrendering themselves to God, finding the absolute.
I'm going to give you a question and then I'm going to go for a few seconds. But Austin, hello, brother. What is true will as spoken about in mystical systems? I wish I could hear this one as well.
Mm.
Did you get it? Yeah.
Yeah. True will. I think we were just speaking of it then. Each and every single being, person, man, woman on this earth, they have their own will. They have a innate desire and a will. And this could be the wheel of the energetic form that has manifest. And you can never change anyone's will. So it is a law or a fundamental law of mysticism and truth. So we have to respect will. And also on the other side, there is love. So love and will are these true laws and the only laws of the universe. One will have a will and continue to seek on their journey and only find elevation through desire and a will. If we try to change the course or try to encroach on anybody else's position, then it only has the opposing effect. So if we do have a partner, like we were saying, and you try to give them some advice, unless they are fully open and have answered the question, you will end up repelling them because the ego itself is conditioned in such a way. And this is why interacting on a day-to-day basis when you go out into the world, that you could say characters or the characters of the persona, they are reactive and respond in the same way. So one who has practiced the art of energy, let's say virtues will give you a great insight to this, but also dialogue. You really can see through each and every person, and this seems like a very mystical dimension to be able to see from. But mind reading, clairvoyance, it's all there for us once we start to elevate ourselves and our position. So having a great respect allows us to surrender more of the ego, understanding that will is very important. Just because your will is truth, others' will is not necessarily on that at this present time. So one can fall to spiritual arrogance. And this can be a block for yourself, believing that you have something greater than what others have. And this is just an idea within inside your ego. So we surrender all to this, see that there is a wonderful, beautiful divine will, and allow everything to take place, surrendering every thought that arises. And then we become more and more free, more and more liberated from the ego. And the ego is very good at replicating the self. One can believe they're the self, but they still have questions about the self. Am I the self? Should I be experiencing this or that? And there's a great knowing when one has reached the self, because there is no questions. There is just an absolute seeing, an absolute being, and an absolute freedom, knowing that you've created absolutely everything inside. So yes, will is a very important thing to understand and is an aspect of your own evolution, surrendering your desire to change anyone else's will by believing you are in a higher position. And I hope that answers it. Let me see if I can get to some questions while we are here. Looking very well. How's weightlifting going? Do you do it quite regularly, and how many times a week? Light years ahead. First of all, thank you for your question. Thank you for being here. And it's a great pleasure to have you. Weightlifting is going well. I had to have a few days off due to helping this beautiful young man. But since I started 21 days ago, I have put on 10 kilo. And I am enjoying it very much. There was a few comments in the show that we had last week saying, be careful of joints and things like this. But it's very important to get movement within the joints because there's a synovial fluid. It keeps you wonderful and agile. So movement is a very important thing for the body to keep it strong, to keep it supple. And I find that doing intense training allows full stretching, which is very good for relieving the body of any type of acid that is built up inside the muscle tissue. And it's just a great journey, to be able to have a very strong avatar, to be able to do most things that most can't physically.
So, what did you say? 10 kilos in?
3 weeks.
So, did you turn up the intake quite a bit? I can imagine.
Yeah, I did. The only thing is, at this moment in time, I'm still not really increasing too much weight because I'm just getting the body used to these movements, so I don't create any injury, creating a stronger system, a better base. So I've just been working, on the movements and heavier things like the squats and deadlifts are starting to come in. But I'm very careful about like rotary cuffs and things like this because they can be injured quite quickly, especially when my muscle memory will come back and then I'll probably be too strong quite quickly.
Well, at what time or when can one expect muscle memory to come back, as you say?
Previously, it took me, I went away to Australia for a year and I came back. I think it was about 6 to 8 months and I put on 6 stone in about 8 months,
What
I
does
would
that
say,
mean?
which is probably for 65, 70 pounds. But then my whole intention, my focus, and every moment of each and every day was focused solely on this. To main, I mean, I when I came back from Australia at that particular time, I would have been going to the gym every single day, and then in between every meal, I was taking an hour walk, maybe an hour and a half, just because there was just an absolute dedication to this physical. So I was eating, walking, coming back, eating, walking, coming back, eating, and I was consuming probably around about 6 to 8 meals a day at that time.
What would the reason or benefits of the walking be? Also,
Because it's low intensity,
uh,
it would just be keeping the body anabolic, but also burning off any type of fat that was left on. I think, truly my lowest body fat was probably around about 1 to 2%. And I had a very, very big volume as well, at that time.
was
It
this
can
this
be
was
done.
that was the last time when you built yourself up on these 6 to 8 months, or
No, I mean, 6 to 8 months I put on that weight, but you can, without eating and without training, your body doesn't want to hold the muscle. It's not something that you build and it stays, but it has the ability to go back to where it was very rapidly. But I would say within maybe 1.5 to 2 years fully, I was able to get beyond that which I was previous. And I was training since I was 12. And I went to Australia when I was about 23, 24. So I was training for about 10 or 11 years, stopped, lost 6 stone in a year, and then gained it back in about 6 to 8 months.
in all the time you just ate the fruits?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been definitely some carbohydrates. I was eating potato, lentil, things like this at that particular time. And then as I evolved, I mean, when I was 28, I was at my biggest, just consuming just fruit, so much of it. Because, one thing is a lot of bodybuilders who are really trying to get large, that you have to consume the amount of calories digestive system can have an impact if you're consuming too much of these starchy foods, and it doesn't flow properly. So you're able to consistently consume fruits out your body within 2 hours. So if you are able to do this, then it's great. And if not, because you live in a place where you can't do it, then you have to do what you need to do. So the next best things, are going to be the things like the squash, the sweet potatoes, the lentils. Just trying to keep the body in a place where it can convert that into a usable source of fuel while you sleep or overnight, or while you aren't consuming, excess fruits all the time. I think there's within the world there's a belief that you're stuck to like a 14, 15, 16-inch arm and you're natural and you can't go beyond it. And by the age of 17, I had always trained within a sports center, and they just had machine weights. And I can remember being like probably 14-year-old boy on the bench press in there, and I'd have the whole stack, and two of my friends would be stood on the bar at the same time, and I could do that at 14. And then when I was old enough to drive, I could drive away to a gym that had free weights. So at 17, without having any free weights previous, I think it was around about 2 months to 3 months, then I was able to bench press 140 kilo without having any free weights before. So just understanding your nutrition, understanding your body, and giving your full attention to something, you can really achieve great goals. And surrender the ideas that arise with it. So it's a wonderful relationship with spirituality as well. Because the more spiritual you are, the less thoughts that you have. This is really all it is. So if you're in a gym and you hear the ego say, I want to do these things for this particular reason, just realize this is a thought and transcend it and continue to be that which is true. You don't need.
For me, I noticed that I'm a little bit reluctant to take the pain. My will is not big enough, to get back into shape or big again, that I can withstand the pain. Probably it's I'm what can I say? I don't
You've
know.
got a few things to sweep until it's there. You just keep living life.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. Also, I've tried a couple of times, or more than a couple, and I see that I can do it for a few weeks and then I fall off. And of course, the question arises: am I just lazy, or is
Yes.
it just not the time?
Very lazy. No, I feel like you should separate yourself from your home. And if you drove to a gym, you'd be in a totally different state. And I bought some free weights just to try to rehabilitate and just initially start. It's so different than going to an actual gym and then having your separate time and then coming back, because you just work hard. I mean, we've joined a gym because our next course is going to be on gym. Misha was a sports rehabilitation specialist personal trainer. I was also a personal trainer and a very knowledgeable guy on the human body and how to achieve certain goals, whether it's weight loss or strength or stamina, etc. So that's what we're going to be doing as our next course after this planting one. I've lost the actual subject. Do you remember what we were here speaking
No,
about?
not a chance.
No, that's good. But yeah, so it's a wonderful journey. I hope everybody can give it a try, whether it's at home, in the garden, outside, inside, with their friends, or on their own. And I remembered the point. When you go to the gym and you separate yourself from home, see, I go in now and hood over my head, completely isolated, do my set, 20 seconds, next set, 20 seconds, next set. And that's how I'm taking it. So I'm not even having 45 seconds rest, maybe a minute's rest. I'm just really intense. Spend 35 minutes with such high intensity and then come out, refeed.
What did you say? How long the total set?
Around
Also,
about 35 minutes,
35
just
minutes.
yeah. So Misha will go in and I will have our beautiful little X. We'll play around outside, maybe go for a bike ride. And then she'll come out, we'll swap. And then
So okay, sorry to interrupt you, but how many you're still on high reps, right? You're
at the moment, I mean, the reps aren't going to be as high just because I feel like at the beginning stages, maybe 15, 20 reps. That's how I'm keeping it until I can build up some more strength to be able to get intense. But let's say failure is around about 10 to 12, and then will and desire takes you to 20 at the moment. And then in the future, my fail will probably be between 15 and 20. And then my will and desire will take me to 40 and 50. And at one time, being able to bench press 100 kilo for 52 reps, just because of the sheer desire. I mean, my body wanted to stop at 25, 26, 27, but the will and the desire would take me. And that's all we need to have. And it's through that type of, devotion to it and then feeding that will cause the excessive growth and strength. Every day, if someone does something, for example, if we look at gymnasts, and you see them on the rings, you see the size of their biceps because they're doing this type of motion a lot. But it's their desire and the repetition that creates that. But they're not even on a huge food schedule. So that's just what would happen to the body if you were consistently doing the same thing over and over again. So like a gorilla, naturally it would be outside engaging with trees, etc., climbing, playing. And I think our structures are supposed to be a lot bigger naturally than they are. Dormant, leaning forward within the Western world, finding our bodies just caving away over time. We all have the power to do anything.
just not me. You know. I'm coming back. I will be back, but when it's meant to be.
Can you please say it like Arnold Schwarzenegger, please? We have this.
Hold on 2 seconds. Okay. Wife is home.
Great.
What did you say?
I said, can you say I'll be back like Arnold Schwarzenegger, please?
I'll be back.
There we go. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, I will.
I know.
Let's go on. There is a question about. It's been repeated quite a few times. And Brother Gaberano, hello, brother. He has addressed it, but Third Eye Trader wants to know your thoughts about tattoos.
Tattoos. If you use some organic Indian ink, that's going to be the best thing. I have no tattoos. Studies show that they can have adverse effects. But if it's your desire to do something to your body, such as that, I don't think they're the worst thing that you could do. So it's entirely your choice. I don't think the studies show too much issues that come later on, but there are certain studies that do show it. I would say it's more down to the ink rather than the anything else.
I'm still alive, at least.
Yeah.
Lisa, Sister Lisa, hello. Lisa Berg. Josh, as my will to change my husband has died off and I've found peace in complete surrender, his ego has dug in even more and it seems he gets more annoyed the more peaceful I become. Thoughts?
At the moment, yes, he will, because the ego doesn't want you to be the way that you're being, so his desire is to change you. But it is you not surrendering to this that will bring the absolute balance and the understanding that he cannot change your desire. But if he's trying to change your will right now, you need to be strong, very strong, and continue to do that which you are. And in your acceptance of him, he shall accept you over time. And if not, then you have to accept that. But I can assure you it will happen for you because of the work and the time that you've spent. It's a beautiful thing and a beautiful process. So just hold on tight. But this is what the ego does. You know, he is frightened. His ego is frightened. You know, and it doesn't want to change because it's not comfortable with anything that is new. Because the ego only lives in recycling. You know, baked beans on toast, pizza in the oven. It's such an easy thing to keep yourself docile and down. Putting on the television, sitting down to a film because it's cold outside and there's nothing else to do. But you see, if you shift your attention to yourself and you start to learn the body and you start to be able to create beautiful releases of hormones that you only get through rewarding yourself, you know, very subtly with the ego all the time in a state of bliss just because you've given your attention to the self and you've worked everything out. Life is so freeing. You have nothing to deal with inside your psyche, and you know, you find this elevated state of being and an evolution which is worth its weight in gold. And remember that just because he's your husband, he is not you and not on your journey, but he's a part of your journey. And everything that's a part of your journey is here for you to expand and evolve. So give grace to your husband for being that which he is and see the beauty in him. And try, I know you do, and always remember to forgive those that trespass among us because they do not know. He is automatic, living in an automated state of fear because there is something new that he's seeing, and that is scary. So also fear arises. And until he's willing to tackle it, you continue to keep doing what you're doing because you have been saved and you are free.
Just looking through
And we love you very much. It's a very funny thing, you know, relationships and ego, and when we try to expand ourselves. But it does push us and it does keep us on our toes. And truly understanding that, you know, when as you continually evolve and look back, you see that you were actually the one causing the conflict. No matter how many times you say, "Do you not see what you're doing, love?" You see that you don't need to say anything. And if you said nothing, nothing would manifest. So say nothing. Just continue to be peaceful.
so no conversations with my wife.
Yeah, just don't speak to her ever again.
Speak to her already. Let's see. Uh, okay, there's a few good. Okay, Roger Villeneuve has something to say. It's not a question per se, but let's read it because it sounds good. Most people are always searching for that which cannot be found in non-duality. Once one realizes that this matrix is a dream, we aren't the doer of our lives. Then let go and free the attachment.
Yes. Yes.
He follows up with, once we understand the natural world dream, then we can truly have fun playing in the matrix and taking what we need from it, and also strike balance in all things and ultimate achieve peace.
Yeah, we have a system of commerce and we use it, and that's all of our choice. And we don't see any way out of it. But if we do open ourselves to another dimension, it will naturally open up because we've expanded the awareness and we are the one. So you'll see just by expanding your own awareness that the matrix itself will change. And everyone that has expanded their self to a certain point of seeing We are watching the very nature of the truth open a space for us to inhabit the earth once again, to be able to create peace, to be able to liberate ourselves with the land, the ones that continue to understand the matrix. You cannot walk into a matrix and say, you are living an absolute lie. And everything that you believe is not true. It just doesn't work. It is a slow and steady decompartmentalization and fragmentation of your own mind to recognize the state. You see, we have children just totally fixated on war who may be believing that they have to go to war because of something that's been put out on a station that has never been told it's been true or has any truth. It's just a TV show. And this TV show is run by a corporate entity, or corporate entities themselves create these situations. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. We just got our little van made down there. I love you. With some 2 pillows and a kitchen towel. Oh, I love you, thank you. He's got his little van made down there. I think he's made a camper van.
Oh.
He loves his camper van, even though we don't have it anymore. So yeah, funny thing. I think we were talking about ego, were we?
Yeah, it's...
We're all at different levels here on this plane. All of us are at different levels. And
but all on the same journey.
All on the same journey. We all believe that we have these... it's been such a long time. What would one say when they feel like they have a purpose? This is a purpose in life. My purpose is this and my purpose is that. That's just a person. No one has a purpose apart from to surrender and transcend their ego. At the same time you do this, you resonate higher. You naturally bring balance to everything around you. So that state that you can elevate yourself to is the very thing which corrects everything. So you don't truly need to do anything.
But could one say that, of course, if, let's say, God or the universe, the source or whatever, has a plan for you, let's say, like he's going to use you for something. That would be your kind of purpose, but it's not something you need to worry about.
Of course, no.
So you have to just let go and join and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, because your purpose will come through when you have found yourself.
Yes.
But that purpose there is organically truth. So you just are the truth itself. But see, the truth is, you are the God, you are the creator. So when you find yourself, there's no purpose. Because you are that which is created, the one, which is separate from itself. If I can say it, do you understand what I'm saying here, or should I try and put it in a different way? Because I'd love everyone to understand what I'm trying to say here, because it's very logical when you can see it.
Yeah, okay, just start from the beginning, because I'm sometimes I get distracted by the questions, but please just start from scratch and.
So let's try. Was there a question involved, and we just came on to the ego?
I think the last thing we did was just to read Roger's inputs.
Yeah, we've both got Alzheimer's here, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, but that's, for me, that's normal.
We'll let it come back naturally.
Yeah. Let's say, J Foxage. It's very difficult to say. I'm struggling to put weight on due to pancreas problems. What exercises would you recommend?
I mean, the weight itself's not going to come on without the food. What are you at this present time? Do you have like type 1, type 2 diabetes, or and what's your sort of diet that you consume?
Mm.
Essentially, we would want to try to bring balance and take away your symptoms, bring you to a pre-diabetic state if you are diabetic, and just find the right foods for you that don't have any insulin response. So let me know what your symptoms are or what you have been diagnosed with, and then I think we could help you a little bit more.
Yeah, and Karen, sorry, but Karen, we were talking on purpose.
Yes, that was it.
Thank you, Karen.
Yes, thank you, Sister Carol. So everybody here has only one purpose. This purpose is to surrender the ego and evolve beyond this state for the next stage of evolution. Because the awareness that which you truly are has come to a point of a higher perception. So the limitation of the person is no longer needed. So we're here for the next level of experience. Now, if we are in a belief that we do have a purpose, we will never find ourselves. So this is one thing. So as we become more aware, contemplate on the idea, and we are spiritually ready, we will have no more questions within inside the person, and then we are the self. So the purpose, I mean, has brought me to this space where you know that you have no purpose. Because when you find the self, you know that you have created this all within inside yourself. So you created a person for a limitation to exist within inside yourself, for a separation, to feel what it's like to not be the self, the creator, just for experience. So you're on to the next experience. So you're consistently expanding your own inner awareness on a journey within your universe. The more that you can expand, the more you can experience, and it's that simple. But if you can remember that you are the self, you're not limited to the mind of the person, and you can just continue to experience expansion instantaneously within inside yourself. So if you're saying God has a purpose for me, then that's the person limited to the belief that there is a God when you are the God. And everything that you see is arising within inside of you, and without you there is nothing.
Would you say, uh, uh, some say that we're all gods and goddesses.
Hmm.
Is it true to it? I try to not, you know, not as a statement, but as a possibility to this party, or not party, but this group of people I was, where there were mostly deeply Christian people, and it didn't fall into, let's say, good ground.
Only because they worship the external entity other than themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but in that worship, that's their separation. So it causes this duality aspect, and them not finding their freedom because they're putting their energy into something other than themselves. It's only when you redirect that energy and attention here that you will truly know. And it seems like, where do I turn? And if I turn to myself, what do I do? Everything that arises within inside you is for a letting go, a clearing, a freeing. And then in your freeing, the energy just expands and you are evolving at a consistent rate. It's such a simple process that most people who are stuck in their intelligence won't come to this until they've actually gone full circle. They have studied the law back to back. They have found the nature of physics and quantum physics, the laws of mathematics, the Fibonacci sequence, these grand divine ratios, studied all of history and found out history is a lie, studied the media, studied the earth, the flat earth, the ball earth. And then they've come to this synchronization where they see all, and then they realize that none of that made any difference. It was something that brought them to the space, so it was a journey for them, but with the right guidance. None of that is needed.
Since we were talking about ego. you know, one like to, or I like to think that sometimes, that I have, at least uh, toiled the ego, or some, but sometimes I think that I have a big ego.
What
I'm
about
not,
if you didn't think at all?
I'm not sure, huh?
What about if you didn't think at all?
That's a good, that's a very good.
Every time that arises, you let it go. Then you don't. Those questions are arising within the ego. Attention's been given to it. Take your attention off of it. Ignore both of the thoughts. Surrender them. You have no ego. That question to the question is just saying, "Are you this and are you that?" You're not it. You're not powerful enough. You need to see this. This is what's going to do it. It's not. Every moment you are not thinking, you are it, and you are in creation itself, creating. There is no limit here. The moment has unlimited possibilities. You can choose to experience life in any way, but this is life. Life is all around us. And we are involved so fully when we give attention here. And that's the thing that we need to be appreciated of. Gratitude is one of the most important things we can give for life, for our own evolution. If you didn't exist, what would you wish for? Keep reminding yourself that. You would wish to exist. You exist. You see children, you see your wife, you see food, you eat, you breathe, you smell, you taste, you touch. This is life. Don't miss this. Looking for something else. It's here and now. Everything that we have. Give gratitude. Give your attention if you wish things to change. Put intention to your attention, and it will. If your children aren't acting good and you wish them to change, but you don't guide them, or you just tell them, and they won't. But if you stop and you give intention, attention, because this is all they seek, guide them, then they will.
Sorry to interrupt, but wasn't that also a course that's going to be, like bringing up kids?
Yeah,
How
mother
how
and
to?
fatherhood. Yeah, we would say parenting, but there's no renting a pair here.
No, no.
Mother and fatherhood, yeah, that's going to be on the library of courses. Um, and I look forward to that one because it's very easy to, say about bringing up children, but the proof is in the pudding.
Mm.
Having someone that's balanced and seeing our little boy go out every single day and interact with others, everyone just is blown away by him, and how kind he is. And anyone in the supermarket, hello, how are you today? Oh, I'm fine. He's like, this is my carrot. I use it as a gear stick in the trolley. And then, oh, it's a lovely carrot. He's like, yeah, thank you. Have a beautiful day. And then he goes off, and the next guy is like, hello. Well, that's a nice thing you have there. And yeah, he's just so amazing. We took him to his first martial arts lesson yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah. And
what kind? Can I ask?
what kind? Yeah, it's like kung fu.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he wanted to do it because he hasn't gone to school. People naturally would think he wouldn't be very social, or he might be timid and fearful of interacting. But he just got up and just walked straight in, and he started chatting to everyone. Stands up in the class, and just there's none of that shyness or the ego with him, and he really enjoyed himself. I taught him how to punch and kick, so they thought he was very good. And he wants to go again, and he actually wants to do that and karate because my brother teaches karate. He
Okay.
stayed since we were young, and now he's one of the teachers there. And yeah, so we're starting to interact, and we feel like he's that age now. You know, 5.5. Take him into gymnastics, but he just loves talking to people, talking to anyone, everyone. But he's so grown up where he just been around us. So he sits down with these 5, 6 year olds having conversations, and he comes out. He says, "Yeah, we go. Did you have a nice chat?" He's like, "They don't really talk like us," but he said they're nice. They were kind,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's going to be very interesting to see Little X's journey.
yeah.
Uh, Looking
He's
forward
had a
to it.
beautiful journey. He has, and the only thing that people say, or most people say, is that if they have everything, then they're not going to be valuable. They need to suffer. They need to go through hardships. But I think that's not true. Some people need to go through these things if they haven't got the correct guidance. But if you can keep it on a point and not let anything slip, but you do it in a kind way, with evidence, with empathy and love.
I can't but think that God or Source or whatever chose you two, also Michelle and you as parents, uh, probably will be a quite extraordinary being.
He is a great teacher already. He won't let anyone slip up. At the moment, it's quite nice to see, quite funny to see. Go around the grandparents and they say a word like with the Bristol accent or the West Country accent, and you see proper, and he'll be doing something. You say, no, it's not as proper, it's about with a P, not not a B, and these type of things.
Ah,
So he's very aware of everything that goes on, but he's very corrective as well, which is it's quite funny to see. He won't let you miss a beat.
very nice.
He would tell you when your ego's out. That's come from ego. That's come from here.
Mm.
Why is he says, why is Nana living in ego, Dad? Why does she live in ego? Yeah.
Does he confront her with it?
No, no,
Uh,
no. He just comes home and asks questions. Why and where like you see advertisements in their faces, like smiling and this, and from about 3 years old, he's like, "That's a persona face, isn't it, Dad?"
mm.
And then he'll say, "Oh, they're doing persona faces, Dad." And so he knows, these little program faces. So he's just aware of it. It's going to build something so beautiful. But right now, he's still young. So
Mm.
I'm just looking forward to every moment with him.
Okay, let's let's start to think about rounding it up.
Yeah.
Uh, Light years ahead. They has a few. I'm just gonna read through them. I don't know if there's a question in there, but anyway, it's when I'm very in touch with the Wu Wei, I feel my intuition kick in and I can predict the next movement of a person, etc. It's a powerful state of awareness. After a while, nature starts pointing you in the flow to the next thing, to then be of service to.
Mm.
This is a purely magical realm. Everybody benefits when nature thrives. I'm just reading through them, so they are separate. But so Josh's mind is a projection of the pure consciousness. Mind projects time and space. Age is dependent on time and space. I'm getting older is an illusion projected upon the consciousness. You, the true reality, being timeless awareness, never age.
No, go on.
It's amazing the perfection Josh has attained.
Mm. You can
So,
never age and you can never die.
mm,
Just believe that you can age and believe that you can die. But when you go back to yourself and you go back to your source, you are limitless, as we have said today. You are the creator, creating a person and a mind. But you are not this. And if you can remember that with this simple reminder, chicken and egg, this is just pure logic for the mind and intelligence. It'll take you beyond a certain aspect. There's no possibility that a chicken's egg just appeared or a chicken just appeared, unless you're dreaming like you dream in the evenings when you fall asleep. So if this is a logical thing that you can perceive, then you go deep in contemplation within inside yourself and see the logic and reason. I am dreaming every time I open my eyes. I'm dreaming within the dream. And that dream, I created a limitation. And those limitations here are held within the mind of the limited, not the true mind. So when I identify myself with this person and this mind of the limited, I only see through the eyes of a person. God is not a respecter of persons and cannot see through the eyes of you. So you surrender this person, its beliefs, its ideas, its concepts. And the more you do this, you become more in touch with the self. The dreamer is just rowing its boat gently down the stream, experiencing more expansion, more evolution. The more it can contemplate and envision within inside itself. You think the human body is an incredible thing. You wait till the next level of your evolution. The more expansive intelligence that you can manifest inside yourself. And if you can remember yourself at the same time, you are in heaven. You are a limitless creator of uncapped abilities with your bylight unifying the Bible, both hemispheres in unity, unitai, one tie, in atonement, at one mind, in presence, presence, innocence, in no sense.
That would be a great place to finish, but Rachel Andriata has a question, and I want to address it because I think she would appreciate it. Before we go, please, can we speak about epilepsy in children? Much love. So epilepsy in children.
Yeah, can be down to a few reasons, mostly vaccinations. An accumulation of heavy metals has built up and broken the blood-brain barrier that causes a neurological problem. The brain's trying to fire and it can't get beyond this. So it starts the seizure. And one of the most important things we can do at that particular time is, if we're not giving breast milk, is try to get breast milk. If you can't produce your own breast milk, there are wonderful donors that you can have that donate their breast milk, which will be the next best thing for you. If not, depending on the age, you can make a hearty drink rather than any type of formula. A formula itself, if you look at the ingredients on it, is full of heavy metals. It's full of casein, toxic, full of whey, toxic, has fluoride in it, it's toxic. And most of the babies, between sort of 3 and 6 months that we have here, they are unable to intake any more food. They reject food. They reject everything that goes inside of them. And this is because of the formula. Simple remedy. You can give them such things as like apple juice, blended with some hemp seeds and pear, and just give them this. You could make an oat type of milk with it as well. Just try to create a blend of nutrients that's going to give them what they need. You see, the breast milk itself has the endocannabinoid, or has cannabinoids in it. So utilizing the hemp seed has the omegas inside of it as well, which babies take a lot of fats. Breast milk contains a lot of B vitamins, B12 being one of them. The baby's liver can store it up for a year. But it's a big subject, it's a big topic to really open up, depending on what you really wanted to know there. If it's to do with you or a friend or a family, the problems more than likely come from a vaccination, and it can be dealt with. So have no fear. Just start to utilize nature. Give them whole foods when they can eat, and breast milk when they can.
Is there a point that's too early to introduce fruits, like juice and fruits and glucose?
Well, you would want to stay more on the fattiest things. So you're blending and straining like hemp seeds has all of the essential amino acids and the omegas. It's probably one of the most safest things you could do. But then we look at the other side and then we say, is this safe? And then you look at the formula and babies are drinking this. And this is like almost a whey protein shake with added metals and
It's
fluoride.
lots of sugar too, right?
Yeah, cornstarch and things like this. And we know that the cornstarch, the fructose in the cornstarch is terrible, but it's also why there's a big movement on carnivores right now, because they say fructose is bad. Fructose coming from fruit, but I didn't realize it's the actual conversion and the synthesizing of fruit, denaturing it, causing the inability to regulate anything that's coming in from it. So it's not the fruit itself. But if anyone's on a journey, I mean, one of the most important things you can do to feel safe, feel secure, is always get your blood work done, regularly every 6 months to a year. Get your vitamins, get your B12. And if you are having like autoimmune disease or you're struggling quite significantly, then you can get stool samples of your gut bacteria. And then you can start to work towards creating a flora or a gut bacterial system that is balanced and will keep you pure. So we all need to be practitioners of our own art, and we can all learn, but we can share information here and know that each and every one of us can find a road to health. And all it takes is a little bit of attention and intention, a bit of will and desire to find freedom, and it will manifest.
She followed up with my child is 10 and it started 3 years ago.
Did he have a vaccine at age 7? Or something like around that sort of age? If not, it would have been maybe diet related. But if you're looking for, a remedy, please, one, you have to let us know what he's eating at this present time. Any time that you wish to advance, let's say more to nature, just slow and steady. This isn't a race. And a chelation process needs to take place. Turmeric, curcumin, is actually a great chelator. So if you can find yourself some organic cumin, coriander helps chelate the body of heavy metals as well. Yeah, I'd say he is too young to get involved with fasting. But if you start giving the living foods on a whole food plant-based diet, things will start to align and correct themselves. If you don't wish to see the seizures anymore, then I recommend speaking to a doctor and trying to get some sort of cannabis medication that will bypass and bring neuroactivity there, alleviating him from the symptoms. And then later on, you can just continue with the remedy and the cure. But it's found in true foods. So as much organic living food as you can, and just take it slow and steady for him. And we will keep him in our hearts and always have him with us, willing him to be free from any type of ailment.
Yes.
No more MSGs, no more heavy metals, no more fortified foods, fortified cereals, none of these things. If you're looking for a mineral base, find the best multivitamin that you can rather than fortified cereals, because they tend to have actual metals inside of them, which obviously accumulate and then build up and cause these issues. There's so much to food, there's so much to diet, there's so much to living and navigating around the matrix. It's incredible. But that's what we're here for as a family, to share, give hope and point.
She says she's reached out to you on the website. So
Okay. I will find you and then we shall communicate.
I think that's a good place to 2 hours. That's about enough.
Yes.
Thank you, Josh,
Mm-hmm.
once again, for your precious time. Thank you for the beautiful people and families here staying live with us.
Thank you all.
So we will be back when we will be back. We did discuss doing it every two strongs now, maybe this summertime. But if we get the, if it's meant to be, we will be more.
Yes. Let's get some more questions, some more interaction and topics.
Yeah.
We love being here. I love everyone being able to find this space together, and I am very grateful for your time and your questions having me.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Have a
Bye bye.
beautiful, strong. Love you all.
Bye bye. Easter coming up. Enjoy the Easter if we don't see you before.
No chocolate eggs.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Yes.
And